Our servo motor is to take it apart. There are 4 screws on the bottom of the servo motor. We just loosen those up. You need a small Phillips screwdriver to do that. So we take those 4 screws out, and you'll feel everything coming loose as you do that. And we're only going to take the top of the motor off for now. Okay, so there it is. We take the top off, and you'll see that that big gear is stuck on there real tight. So get a flat blade screwdriver, and you can carefully pry that big gear off. And then all the rest of the gears are going to be loose now. So let's just pull all the rest of those gears off. Try to remember how it goes. We'll have pictures and so forth to help you get it back together. But try to remember how that was. Now, see that rod sticking out? That's what we want to mess with right now. We need to adjust that rod. That rod goes to a variable resistor that gives it position feedback. We need to adjust that rod so the rod is stuck in a place where the motor does not turn. So we're going to carefully pull out our variable resistor. It's just pressed in there, and putting it in a vise like this really helps a lot. And we're going to leave it in the vise, and then we're going to attach the motor to our first male header pin near the switch, and then turn that variable resistor till the motor stops. And when the motor does stop, that means we're in the right spot, and we're going to solder that variable resistor so it stays only in one place. So heat it up good and solder it into that one place. Then we, again, carefully, this is all real fragile stuff, put the variable resistor back into place. It will snap into place. You'll feel it when it's right. Now we plug our servo motor into the second from the switch male header pin, and we watch and see that the gear is going back and forth, back and forth. That's what we want. We need to do a couple of things to the big gear that we pulled out. First, there's a tab on the bottom of that big gear. We need to get it off of there. Best way to do that is with a wire cutter. Just go ahead and cut it, and it'll come right off. But when we do get that off, we want to smooth that out a little bit. So I use some sandpaper. So let's grab some sandpaper, and then we just rub that plastic tab, the little bit hanging up yet, on the sandpaper, and that'll smooth it out real nice. All right, so now it's gone, and it won't be a factor anymore. Next, we need to drill out the flat side that's inside of that big gear. So what we're going to do is we're going to put what's called a horn on that big gear. You look in that little plastic bag, and you'll find a screw and this flat horn, and we're going to attach it to the big gear. That's going to be so it holds in one place for us. And then we're going to put it back into a vise, something to hold on to it. And then we're going to use a 1/16 inch drill and drill out that flat part that's in the middle of that. So real carefully, let's come in with a drill that out, and just drill until it stops. You'll be hitting that screw when it does stop, so don't push hard. And now that flat spot is out. All right, so now it's time to put our motor back together, and hopefully everything's going to work here. So the plastic gear and that rod goes on first, and then the smaller of the metal gears, all right, that goes on, and then the next size metal gear. You might want to check and make sure everything is turning right at this stage like I did there. Next size metal gear, and then that big one we modified goes on the top. So that's what it should look like, and we'll have pictures of that around for you to look at when you're putting that back together. And snap it all back together. It might go together a little bit hard. If that bearing fell out, make sure you get that bearing into the right place up in the upper part. But let's go ahead and screw everything back together. Tighten up our 4 screws. Don't over-tighten these. I've found that they kind of strip real easily. So let's tighten these up. So everything is back together just the way it was. And we should now have a working continuous rotation modified servo motor that's going to turn our wheels. If it doesn't work right, go ahead, take it back apart. You can remelt that solder and turn your variable resistor till it's in the right position. So if it's not right, never fear, we can do it again.